You're listening to a Soul One podcast.
Well, with the American Thanksgiving passing, Stranger Things 5 episodes 1 through 4 did drop. Taylor, have you watched any of it?
No.
Okay. You're probably you're one of the only people who hasn't, I think. I mean, I ended up binging all the episodes almost in one go.
Right.
I will say pretty underwhelming. It's pretty underwhelming to start.
I will say the internet's doing a very good job of not doing spoilers. Like, I've even seen headlines where it's like redacted, like, like they're really they're keeping tight lips, but everything I've seen about it has made me want to watch it less. They've introduced a bunch of new characters, as far as I can tell.
Yes, some,
or at least like
I would say there are normally there are a couple new characters. There are a couple characters who aren't new, but it takes you a second to remember. Oh yeah, that's who that is.
And they're giving them like a bigger, like
that's right.
Mike's mom, I think, like has a much bigger.
Mike's mom,
role.
and then Mike's little sister, Holly,
who's been recast.
Who's been recast because she's, I guess, older now. Has a much bigger role. One of the sort of sidekick bullies from last season, who wasn't like the main bully guy, he's got a bigger role because Dustin's getting some bullies still all over him. So there's like those little things where it takes you a minute to go, wait, who is that? Because now suddenly they have this big role in it. Of the 4 episodes, the 4th episode is, I think, the one that, though it's too long, was the most interesting. Whereas I think the other 3 were kind of meh.
I think I did see a headline, and I could be wrong, that the 4th episode is being highly rated.
Yes.
We mentioned this. It might have even been in the early fall now, Mike, where we talked a little bit about Stranger Things. I have Stranger Things fatigue.
Yes.
And I think I would be more inclined to watch it if these episodes weren't so bloated.
Like they're
4 episodes, and how long are each one?
Oh, they range from an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw on the Google Doc that in one of our early January episodes, you wrote Stranger Things 5 ? So
well, that's because on Christmas Day they released 2 or 3 more episodes, and then on New Year's they released 1 more. So I thought, given the entire month of December, maybe we talk about it. We did all of Stranger Things 4.
Yes,
we did do an episode that, not to really say I'm just gouging for viewers here. It was a highly downloaded episode of ours, so I just thought that maybe we should.
I think, Mike, I will at the very least give it a stab. I think for sure we'll do a Stranger Things 5 episode. I just can't promise that at like 8 episodes, 10 episodes, from 1 hour to 3 hours, because I think like the season finale is like 3 hours. I can't promise that over my Christmas holiday I'll be able to, if it was like a normal 50-minute 10 episode season. Yes.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're just, and early, one of the headlines I saw, Mike, was that it is suffering from being too long.
Yeah, and
what the critics are saying.
The episodes are so over bloated, and one of the things that I'm confused about is why they're doing it this way. So from a studio perspective, shoot all this all you want, split the episodes up, release 8 of them this year and 8 of them next year, and there you go. You stretched it out to 2 more seasons. Right, like you're getting more streaming things. I don't understand why the decision was made to do it this way. I'd be having watched the episodes, there was at least two of the episodes 2 and 3. There was such a strong A and B plot out of both, where I'm like, these are strong enough to be on their own. Like, it's just over bloated. Like, why not just have split them into extra episodes, release a bunch this year, release a bunch next year, and do Stranger Things 5 Part 1 this year and Stranger Things 5 Part 2 next year. Like, that makes more sense financially. So I don't really get it. I don't understand why they're doing it this way. And I agree with that critic. They're too long. They're way too long of episodes.
And I said that when we were just chatting about when it's going to be released. I also I it makes no sense because at that point it's not television anymore. Like a 2.5 hour long quote unquote episode. No, that's a movie. So like I don't know, even to be like, oh, this is a TV show. No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it's not anymore.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I know they're doing with the finale is they want to release it into movie theaters. Like, I get it. Like, I understand that. But why not just make it a movie? Like, why not just make it a movie then? Why not just be like, okay, here's our regular 2 seasons or whatever, that you split it up, hour-long episodes, 50 minutes, whatever they used to be doing, and then we'll release a big movie in the theaters. Like, why not spread it out? It feels there's this thing of like, maybe they sense the fatigue and they want to get it out there and out there and out there. But I'm telling you, I don't think fatigue happens if your product stays of good quality. I really believe that. So I think you and I both talked about how when we did review all of Stranger Things 4, we talked about how there was parts of it we liked, and I think I liked it overall more than you did. But both you and I were very critical of the fact that this isn't as good as the first couple seasons, right? Like, it was diminishing returns.
I think also, like you said, it just from a business standpoint doesn't really make sense, because we know for fan service, like people who are huge Stranger Things buffs would do exactly what you're describing. They'll watch season 1, milk it a little bit longer, release part 2, whether you call it like season 6 or season 5 part 1.
Yeah, whatever.
And then a movie. It's not even like those things have to be spectacular. You're still going to have the diehards watch the series all the way through,
but of course,
and go to the movies.
And I still think it would break records, and I still think people would be into it, especially if the product is good. People will come back. There's always excuses to why audiences drifted away. I hear fatigue all the time. Well, I'm telling you, Taylor, you would not have fatigue if you were enjoying it.
Exactly.
You just wouldn't. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a bit.
And I would make it my holiday viewing.
Yep. Oh yeah, it would be an event for you. Listen, I will completely pull the curtain back. I didn't have anything to do last Friday. I didn't watch it on Thanksgiving Day for the U.S. because I did have stuff to do. But on that Friday, I didn't have anything to do. I had nothing to do until basically, I don't know, last Friday. Yeah, I had nothing. I had nothing to do until the evening. When I had work stuff to do. So it's just, I can sit down and watch it.
It was time filler for you.
Yeah, that's right. It really was. Speaking about time filler, this particular movie that I reviewed this week, it feels like time filler, which we're going to get into.
Interesting.
I reviewed Wicked for Good, the promised final chapter of the Wicked saga.
I felt like it was released with a lot less fanfare than the first one.
It's because it's the second act of the musical, and second acts of musicals are terrible.
Yeah.
So it's
and Wicked in particular, I hear, has a pretty... Well, I've seen Wicked. I just don't remember it because I saw it well over 10 years ago now. But as far as I can tell, Mike, Wicked has a notoriously weak second half.
Oh yeah, is that true? All the good songs are in the first act, and the second act. I mean, some people would say there are 2 songs in particular that they think are quite good, but still, none of the songs come close to Defying Gravity, Popular, Loathing, like all these songs that are pretty iconic. Dancing Through Life, like that you hear all the time. I hear them in auditions all the time. No one's singing a song from the second act of Wicked. So that's the movie that I reviewed, and I'm going to talk about that. And you reviewed Frankenstein. Who knew there was another Frankenstein movie?
Oh, this
Guillermo
has
del
had
Toro.
this has a lot of buzz, Mike.
I didn't hear anything about this, and this is a great director.
Okay.
I looked up the cast. Pretty good
Stacked.
cast. I'm confused as to where this movie came from, but we're going to talk about it. Do you happen to know if this was just a Netflix release? Like, is it?
So it did one of these weird things where I think it was released for like 1 week
Okay. In the
in
theaters, yeah.
and only in like, Los Angeles and New York. Like it was very, very, very limited, and then it was released to Netflix. It's a Netflix original movie, and that was part of, Netflix cuts that deal with directors that will give you like a blank check. I'm joking. I don't think they actually give movie
Well,
makers a blank check, but
sometimes they do.
it feels like it.
Sure, it feels like they say, "Go make whatever you want. It's Netflix.
Yeah,
We're going to let you do whatever."
and then in exchange for your movie never seeing the light of a
Yeah.
theater, and I think sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that it's one of those things. Like, not only the director caught my eye, like you mentioned about the stacked cast. Like, it's like 5 or 6 names deep of people I recognize from other things, and that I know are very solid actors. So I'm just I was so shocked when I read the Google Doc that you were doing. I'm like, which Frankenstein movie is this? And I looked it up. I'm like, wow, this is like Christoph Waltz and Oscar Isaac and that weird guy from Euphoria, Charles Dance, Mia Goth. Jacob. What's Elordi?
I don't know how to say his last name.
He plays the creature, right?
Yep.
He's the creature. Yep. See, and he's an interesting actor. Like, he's someone who
did a good job.
Yeah, and he's very good in Euphoria. I know he was not exactly great as Elvis, but he's very good in Euphoria. So that's another very interesting. I didn't see Saltburn, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. So
it's one of these movies that I think had a ton of buzz when it at first went into production, and then because it's a Netflix movie, Netflix doesn't do a very great job of promoting its movies. And but in terms of like the social media that I'm on, Mike, because I like, gothic stuff, like gothic stories and movies, I saw a lot of people were heavily promoting it on Instagram. Like, I would say influencers were talking about it. But anyways, I have not read the book. It is, of course, a book written by Mary Shelley. And I actually, Mike, have never read the book, and I haven't seen a single Frankenstein adaptation except for Young Frankenstein.
Okay, Young Frankenstein. Yeah.
Just like I've only seen one Star Wars movie, maybe 1.5, but I have seen Spaceballs.
Well, then you've essentially seen Star Wars, and I will say, I mean, Young Frankenstein also relatively accurate. But I did read the book. I read it in school.
Right.
We had to read it. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting book. Very, very dark and gothic. So I'll be interested to see what this adaptation is like. I found, some Frankenstein adaptations I don't think have been particularly good. But there seems to be one every 20, 30 years or so.
I think it's one of those stories.
Oh yeah. Well, we're long overdue. Like, we haven't had a Frankenstein movie in a long time. Like, maybe since Young Frankenstein. That was at least like a big
there's a movie. Kevin Branagh one from the 90s.
Oh, did Kevin Branagh?
I read it.
Of course.
That's his name, right?
Yeah. Kenneth
Branagh. Yeah. So I actually read something very interesting. So Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula did so well that they're like, oh, we need to, like, what do they call that? Fast track. We need a fast track Frankenstein so that, we can make bank the way we did Dracula. And so I think less than a year, or like maybe a year after Dracula came out, Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein came out. And I think from what I read, it's a well-received adaptation, but it isn't the most faithful adaptation of the book. But apparently the movie was well-received.
I do think he both directed and starred in that one, because now that you mentioned it, I think that was like mid-90s. It's on Crave, I think, because I think I've seen the title, and it's one of those movies that you would see previews for a lot and commercials for a lot, but I don't think I ended up actually seeing it. But I can think and remember and like see.
You can I'm feel the
sure. I'm pretty sure if I'm thinking of the right movie, I think Helena Bonham Carter is in it.
Yeah, I
Like I
think
think,
so.
yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, we've got to talk Frankenstein. We've got to talk Wicked for Good. Why don't we just continue with this Frankenstein talk and get right into
Sure.
your movie review?
This was one of my highly anticipated movies of 2025. Like you said, it has a very interesting cast. You have Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein, Jacob Elordi, if that's how you say his last name, as the creature. Mia Goth is Elizabeth, and then Christoph Waltz is in a supporting role. I forget his name, but it's essentially he's Mia Goth's uncle and the
Mm,
financier of Oscar Isaac.
okay.
Um, and the movie is Frankenstein. And like I said, I have never read the book, but people I Frankenstein's one of those things where like it's big enough that same with like Dracula. You don't have to have seen Dracula to know about the basic outlines of vampire lore. And so I knew the very basic premise that Victor Frankenstein essentially makes a monster or a creature from dead bodies. And I think Del Toro is an interesting director. And he is one of our directors that's working that has like a very singular vision and executes it well and is very passionate about filmmaking and like the craft, like really, like what goes into making a movie, right? So, and he has gone on records, I think he literally at an award this week essentially said
Mm,
FAI, like
mm,
in his acceptance speech. But he didn't, he said the full word, I believe, Mike. So he's
mm,
so this is my first comment about this movie. He and I don't doubt it. Like I don't think he used AI while making this movie. And I don't know enough about AI to like really be able to identify it. He Del Toro, I mean, was like he's very, use real sets, let's use like beautiful costuming. Like that's what he's known for, his production value. And I will say this, Mike, I felt the same way about watching Crimson Peak, which I was very excited to watch, and then was kind of like, wah wah. His movies, to me, even if he's not using AI, he must be doing something in post production that I just don't really like because
hmm.
certain scenes looked like video games to me.
Yeah, there is a certain aesthetic that he has had in the past that I can see exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Like it's some scenes for me where like the more naturalistic scenes were beautiful, beautifully shot cinematography, and like you cannot deny like costuming, sets, everything's amazing. And then there would be some scenes where I'm like, this if this is an ag is if this is an AI, this is CGI, or he's doing something in post production with like filters where
Hmm.
like this feels like I'm watching a video game and like not necessarily like a high quality video game. And I felt the same way. I remember thinking not so much the video game stuff with Crimson Peak, but thinking the same thing where I'm like, this isn't as beautiful as you think it would be. But maybe I just perceive Del Toro's movies being beautiful and they actually aren't beautiful. His cinematography is just ugly.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you talk about, what he was saying about AI, because sometimes, not all the time, sometimes when people um, criticize things like AI, I wonder, are you criticizing it for reasons that you actually have, and like, here's why you don't like it, or are you just jumping on the bandwagon of I'm hating it because I don't understand anything about it, and it's the topical thing to hate right now? Because if you use CGI, you're using AI elements.
That's what I would say,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't know enough about it, but to me it's like I agree, AI like you shouldn't be using that for scripts, especially for scripts. Even in like post some filmmakers have come under fire for using it in post production for like cleaning up accents and like when you're using it to like kind of like digitize faces and stuff, like that is uncomfy. But then to be like no AI, and I'm like, well, you're doing something in post production because this doesn't look normal. Like even if it's just like you're slapping on like a filter, like something's going on where like it's not as naturalistic as I would think for someone who says like
Hmm.
AI is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Um and then But then I thought about I really loved The Shape of Water, which he did with, oh, I'm gonna forget the name of that British actress.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yeah.
Sally something.
Yeah.
Um anyway, she's phenomenal, and she was in The Shape of Water. Great movie, wonderful script, and I get it. It was just like, it was kind of an ugly movie. Like, I just think he like uses color schemes
Mhm.
and some post production effects that I just don't really like.
Yeah. Sally
Um,
Hawkins is her name.
Sally Hawkins. There you
Yeah.
go. So, anyways, that's my maybe first major gripe with this movie, is that there's something going on with the cinematography and the post production that like just doesn't work for me. Um, that being said, Del Toro is an excellent filmmaker. He's a very good director, a very strong director. He's going to get really good performances from people. The cast was very good. Like, I had no problems with the cast, costuming, production design, everything's chef's kiss. I'm gonna say something, Mike, that is very controversial.
Okay.
I just didn't really like the story.
Is that controversial?
because it's like this like larger than life story now, right? Like Frankenstein, like this is
Sure.
a, you can spoof it without even having read the source material. I just didn't like so maybe mild spoilers for this story, and you guys can, skip this review and go watch the movie and come back. So Victor is very mean to the creature. I just didn't like it. It was like watching a movie where like someone's abusing a puppy. And like, to me, I'm like, I just didn't, it just didn't, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I even the idea of like Victor being like, I'm gonna make a body out of dead people. I'm like, doesn't really do it for me, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically enough about the book, but I certainly don't remember even the monster, the creature being that like prevalent. Like it was more about Dr. Frankenstein and like
Right.
his kind of journey with creating this and like the fallout from it and everything that kind of happens. So I don't remember their interactions to be able to tell you whether or not that's like the director's choice or from the
Right.
book. But yeah, I don't think it's controversial to say you just don't like the story. And
Yeah, I just didn't
as
I didn't
well
like
as
it.
like I know Frankenstein's been around a long time. It is, I think, a well-received novel. At least when I was in school, you did study it, so therefore there were things that are worth studying in it. But you also studied like Fifth Business and other books that I would say are awful. So I think if it's just not the story is just not for you, then I don't think that's super controversial. It's not, again, it's not like if you were in a room of musical theater kids and you said I hate Wicked, that's controversial.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're gonna the townspeople are gonna come with pitchforks and torches for you when I pass off the mic and you can give your review.
Well,
But
that's only because I'm happy to be honest for my opinions, and I'm happy to put my name on my opinions.
I even my sister-in-law, a couple weeks ago asked me what I had watched, and then my my father-in-law went, "Oh, I watched that last night too," because he has Netflix. He's not like, I don't describe him as like he's always watching like the new thing, but if it like pops up on Netflix, like he's game, he'll watch it. And so I asked him, I said, what did you think? And he agreed with me. It's a well-made movie. It's just like the story is just kind of like and like I don't think that's Del Toro's fault. He didn't write the book. Like
No,
he
no, yeah,
wrote
he just
the
adapted it or what
and
have
as
you.
far as I know from what I'm reading, although everything's up to interpretation, right? Like people are always going to have their favorite adaptations, but from what I'm reading, it's a fairly faithful adaptation of the book.
Mm.
So it's like, well, sorry, Del Toro, you just adapted a story I didn't love. So this is one of those movies that for me is a little tricky to review, Mike, because I
Mm.
think in terms of like craft,
Yeah,
this was a well-made movie.
right.
Even if there are some like post-production-y things that like I don't agree with, the fact is Del Toro has a vision. He's able to execute that vision, and it remains consistent throughout. And the performances, including the performances, like it's a cohesive film. I just didn't care for the story. And I know how sometimes you say the like, well, if it's a good script, it can like overcome that. Well, sometimes like it's just not a story you want to watch. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Like, I don't
I
know,
think
like,
so. Yeah.
so for me it's a see it cuz it's a good movie,
Mm.
but like personally I won't be watching it again, and I
Yeah.
certainly will not be running out to watch another Frankenstein adaptation just
Yeah.
because the plot itself is just, I don't know, doesn't work for
Yeah.
me. I'd rather watch my vampire movies.
Totally fair. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Wicked for good, and try my best not to talk too much about the first Wicked movie, but it's sort of hard because obviously you're going to compare them. I did review the first Wicked movie
You
on
liked
this
it.
podcast. I did like it. I thought certainly for a movie musical, it was well done. So going into this one, I definitely felt like, well, the first one was really good. I have not seen Wicked on stage, but I do know the second act is not as strong as the first. That's what made splitting the movie in two a little bit of a surprise for me. And I will say this movie suffered a lot by the fact that it was clearly a part two. Um,
Sequelitis.
Sequelitis. Honestly, Taylor, this movie felt like it was made in the 90s. Like it suffered from
Hmm.
all the sequels of 90s movies where it's like, here's all the things we think you like, and we'll shove that back in your face for this movie. Like down to there were like, you know, a callback to the dance that became popular for like 2 seconds. Instead of creating a new musical number that people can love, you
You know
just
what's
tried to repeat
interesting?
what was already there.
Was this movie, I thought this movie was filmed back to back. Like
It
it was
was.
as if it was like one
Yeah, it was all
production.
filmed. It was filmed as one production and just split into two movies. That's what makes it even more peculiar, because those were not the reasons why these decisions were made, but it felt like a over bloated sequel mess where it's
Mm.
just trying to wrap things up quickly. It's throwing things in there, and it just didn't work. Like as a movie, this didn't work. I can't. I cannot. I wouldn't believe a single person if they said, "Oh, this is a really good movie." It's not. It just doesn't follow the structure that a film follows to begin with, and there's no real intrigue to keep it going. One of the things that this movie does that I hate was it's a tonal mess. Like it doesn't know if it
Mm.
wants to be serious or not, because there's kind of this like love sort of love triangle ish that was introduced in the first movie that really continues and takes center stage in this movie. At one of the most emotional moments in the movie, and what should be a very emotional big moment in the movie, that our two lead characters have this actually happened, Taylor, a slap fight
Hmm.
while this emotional moment is supposed to be happening. Like as a moviegoer, I think you're supposed to feel some weight and emotion to an event that just happened, but instead, I'm watching these two people
Nothing
slap each other.
nothing says emotional moment like a slap fight.
Mm-hmm. Like a real good
Slapstick.
slap battle. And
Yeah.
again, it was filmed for comedy, so we were purposely undercutting the emotion of the film, which seemed to happen a lot. Like there was no point in this movie where the movie got me emotionally, and that's something that, yes, I'll admit is harder to do for me with most movies because as a adult with half a
Robot.
brain, um, or a robot, I realize that this is fake, and you have to earn things with me, and you have to dive me into the story. But
What do
Wicked
you
is
mean
a
there's
better
no Land of
example.
Oz, Mike?
Yeah, well, there's no Land of Oz, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I can believe that this green witch is somebody who I should feel sympathy
Sure, she's
for.
persecuted and
Yeah, and in the first movie they did a great job of that, and in this movie they just didn't. Like no, I hate movies where the problem can be solved by two characters talking to each other.
right.
That's what I hate. And this movie to me felt very convoluted. I never really quite understood where it was trying to go at any point in time. I thought our lead character, who is Elphaba, who's basically now in a position where she knows that the wizard is a fake, and she's going around kind of trying to tell people, except she's doing everything but tell people that the wizard is fake and shouldn't be trusted. She's doing everything else though. And while basically Michelle Yeoh's character turns into kind of the villain, and it's sort of Cynthia Erivo's character Elphaba versus Michelle Yeoh throughout the thing, and you've got Glinda, who's kind of like stuck in the middle, trying to figure out what she's going to do. She's sort of playing this political role in the movie. I think the movie is trying to be like, Elphaba is kind of going against the political norm and trying to like go after the big politics thing, but it just didn't work. Like none of it felt real or interesting at any point in time. Like I was kind of bored. I was always waiting. I was kind of waiting for this movie to be over. It was really, really long. And I think the biggest other piece of the movie that I want to mention is some of the acting was atrociously bad.
How's that possible when it's literally the same production?
Well, some of these people weren't great in the first movie, but were only maybe okay in the first movie and terrible the second one. So Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were both great again. They clearly are good at playing these roles. I think Cynthia Erivo knocks it out of the park, and
she's a Broadway actress.
I think she's done Broadway. Yeah, I don't know because I knew her from a TV show. Like she was in a TV show that I've seen. Definitely. But maybe she was. You might be right. She certainly got an amazing voice. Would not surprise me. And Ariana Grande, same thing, like very good, like in the role, plays it very well. I have no problem with either of their two performances. Jonathan Bailey was atrocious in this movie. Like atrocious. He was okay. I remember in Wicked being like he's okay. Like he's
People
okay.
love him.
I know. He's so bad. I can't even his facial expressions, his overacting to everything that's happening. I never felt that he was ever emoting a feeling that a human being has had ever. Ethan Slater was okay. He's a Broadway actor. SpongeBob. He was okay. There's this one moment where his character goes through something and has this like big emotional moment, and I thought, oh, he's actually doing a good job with this, but I still think it's silly. Like, there's just something about the way it was shot or done where I'm like, I'm close to laughing, even though I know technically he's doing a good job. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But the worst performance in this movie, by far, was the actor who plays the sister of Elphaba. Her name is Marissa Bode. Just an atrociously terrible actor. I don't understand when you have access to the planet Earth, how you can make casting decisions like this. I will never understand it. She was absolutely atrocious in this role. Michelle Yeoh was a great world-class actor, and yet somehow not really good at all. Jeff Goldblum is just being Jeff Goldblum. That is what it is. Wicked for Good suffers from so many problems. The worst being it was not a strong enough script to stand a movie on its own. Wicked should have just been one movie, cut some of the fluff out, trim it down, do one film. It would have been a better experience. I would watch the first Wicked movie again. I will never watch this one again.
Mike, this is what I know I'm beating a dead horse, but this is what I don't understand when people adapt musical theater, because stage shows very rarely break 2 hours.
Yeah, usually they're 2.5 plus, depending upon the show. At least these big ones, these big epic ones. Well, you're in for minimum 2.5 hours.
Because I'm thinking like with the what do you call that? Intermission. But okay, I'll take 2.5.
Yeah,
that is movie length. You don't need to add. Just adapt.
Yeah.
Just adapt the screenplay.
Yeah,
what are they doing?
I'm not too sure what they were trying to do here. It didn't work.
One thing I read, Mike, was that they knew that the theory, I guess, the fan theory, was the filmmakers knew the second half was weak, and so they had to like rejig, right, to like make it a sustainable second movie. But you can't fix what's not there.
I mean, I think the answer is so simple: money.
Yeah.
Right. You get to release 2 movies instead of 1. Like that's the reason. I mean, it's and sometimes like what we were saying with Stranger Things, it would benefit, and this doesn't benefit from it. This was a bad decision. Anyway, Wicked for Good is a skip it for me. Not even worth talking about or seeing ever again. There you go. That's everything for us for this week. Thank you so much for listening.
Go see some movies.
Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Have Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.